Good day, colleagues. You are welcome to the 2026 virtual conference. Um, my name is Fidelis. I'm presenting on behalf of my PhD student Moses Ayabu, and of course my colleague Dilip Das. Our paper today is entitled "A Review of Sustainable Construction Practices in Ghana." As we all know, the world is combating global grand challenges regarding resource needs. How can we meet the needs of today without compromising the needs of tomorrow? We also have social needs, and in particular, the construction industry has implications for how we meet the resource needs. When it comes to global emission from buildings, for example, there are many statistics, but we note that the least statistics is around 10%. Everyone in Sea Conference know that there is major impact that construction activities make on the environment and the society at large. For example, if you take this United Kingdom data, we will see that almost 100,000 metric tons of natural resources are extracted alone just to execute construction activities. Of course, we cannot do without construction activities because of the need for shelter and infrastructure. But yet, there is significant impact from global emissions to material extraction and, of course, climate change, global warming, all these issues. In Ghana specifically, where we are focusing upon, construction account for land degradation, loss of large natural habitat. If you are familiar with West Africa, Ghana is situated around the rainforest region. Then, of course, it accounts for air and water pollution because of conventional way of doing things and high energy usage. What is the aim? Our aim is to really examine if sustainable construction practices are implemented in construction. This forms part of a PhD study that is looking at how to reduce carbon and ecological footprint uh, 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 through construction activities in Ghana. Our aim is to see if Ghana really can begin to implement some sustainable practices like reuse of materials, use of local materials, recycling, and of course, every other thing, conserving energy or using alternative energy sources. In this particular paper, the emphasis is on barriers and drivers of sustainable construction, and the paper is based on the literature review. We, as opposed to looking at citation metrics, we look at context-specific knowledge regarding sustainable construction practices in sub-Saharan Africa and developing world, and we logically put the papers together to form a coherent argument. Now to the result from the literature, we noted, just like any other country, Ghanaian construction contributes significantly to socio-economic development through GDP, etc. And there's a particular government agency responsible for construction works in Ghana, as shown in the slide. However, the implementation of sustainable construction is at the infancy stage, is quite minimal, and therefore the industry contributes substantially to GSG, and the industry lacks a strategy for enabling sustainable construction. So now, if it does lack that strategy, it means there are barriers. There are a range of studies. If you look at the paper, we tabulate on table one. We have about 4 or 5 studies that were tabulated. Most of them have similar barriers. One of the barriers has to do with money, finance, then regulation, that finance and regulation, government can play a significant role in them, lack of investment, and of course, initial costs stop people from moving towards green building or green construction. And of course, because we know construction is a demand-driven industry. If the client does not demand that particular building, that particular product or facility, the contractor is not going to build it. So if there's a lack of client demand for sustainable construction practices or green buildings, then how do the industry provide it? So we need to now find a way to overcome that. Then, of course, the lack of sustainable construction practices and the attitude of professionals also were flagged by some of the authors that we read. Then we have drivers as well, as indicated in the paper. You have a demand by stakeholders, especially when you begin to have intelligent client in industry. Then when you begin to consider whole life cycle cost issues, then the client can see the financial benefit, especially when buildings are in operation or facilities are in operation. They can demand sustainable construction practices. The need for corporate or social responsibility as well, the need to minimize environmental impact can drive all these issues. If you look at the UK construction professional perception, financial incentive can become drivers. Building regulations, if they are updated, they are context specific, they can really work in a particular environment, then they can become drivers of it. Of course, tax and levies and planning policy also have significant role to play. Other drivers has to do with regulations. So finally, one would want to argue that government of Ghana should incentivize the industry, incentivize the entire supply chain, client, contractors, subcontractors to look at green construction practices and green buildings and other unsustainable construction practices. The industry itself should also target the reduction of resource consumption in extraction and all that, improve indoor air quality in buildings, avoid environmental health problems, pollution, etc. Use recycled materials or try to target zero waste of physical materials on site. And of course, you can't do all this without educating the professionals. This is just in a nutshell what we have to say. Thank you so much for your time. I would like to say thank you to all the authors and thank you to the organizers of the SEED 2020 conference and the delegates in this virtual conference. Thank you. Have a lovely conference.